Disney is a company worth over $150 billion. They mostly make TV shows and movies, but what you might not know is that they've also made a couple of games. They stopped making them in 2016, but as long as you got the game before that, you still have it. I was looking through some old games when I came across DuckTales Remastered. It was released in 2013, and since then they've completely removed it from the App Store, so you can no longer download it. But they didn't completely delete it, so I can still play it. I also looked it up, and apparently it's on Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, so you can still buy it for the low price of $14.99. And look, this was a somewhat fun game, but it took 2.5, maybe 3 hours to beat. I got it for free on mobile, but if I paid for this game on console, it would have cost me $5 an hour. With that kind of money, I could invest in the stock market and become richer than Elon Musk. Or I could buy 2 pairs of instant underpants and still have $2 left over. Anyway, I started up the game and got to listen to a retro cover of the main theme song that brought back so much nostalgia. I clicked New Game and was immediately greeted by an important choice. What difficulty do I want to play on? I decided on hard mode. I mean, I like challenges, and how hard could this game for children really be? After selecting our difficulty, we get a little intro cutscene where some burglars throw some bombs at Scrooge McDuck's door until it opens and they can all rush inside. Scrooge hears an alarm activate and definitely breaks not only the speed limit but also the sound barrier, getting here in about 2 seconds. Scrooge hops out of the car where he has a little monologue and then rushes inside where we can control him. We have 4 buttons on the left side of the screen that let you move left and right, duck down, and climb up ropes. You also have 2 buttons on the right. One of them is to jump, and the other can do 2 things. If you're in the air, then you can activate his pogo stick. At first, I thought he just pulled it out of thin air, but actually, his cane just doubles as a pogo stick, which, I mean, why not? The other thing the button can do is hit something with his cane, which will either send a light object up at a 45-degree angle or a heavy barrel straight forward. I kind of thought the main weapon would be his cane in this game, but to activate it you need to press up against something, and if you run up and hug the enemy, it doesn't feel that great. So instead, the way you kill enemies is to jump on their head with a pogo stick. Just like you should pogo stick the subscribe button. Please. The first thing you get to do in this level is to save Huey, Dewey, and Louie. The Beagle Boys have captured them, and in less than 30 seconds have had time to find and set up cages to hold them, hack the security system, and steal the light bridge from Thor to keep the enemy ducks out, all while leaving a button to completely thwart their plans on the other side. I broke through the bricks with my pogo stick and pressed the button, freeing Huey and giving the Beagle Boy a stomach ache? Yeah, that checks out. Scrooge makes sure Huey's alright and then asks him an important question. Why are you here? Huey replies that he, Dewey, and Louie saw about 50 men armed with bombs breaking into Scrooge's vaulted money and thought, yeah, this seems like a job for me, a 10-year-old. After picking up Huey, I continued on, picking up diamonds as I played. Throughout the levels, there are small diamonds worth $2,000, big diamonds worth $10,000, and red big diamonds worth $50,000. They randomly spawn and can also be found in chests. I continued on until I found Dewey. I tricked the Beagle Boy with a hamburger and then freed Dewey. He dropped to the ground and I realized that's a bit of a drop. Scrooge McDuck is 4 feet tall, and that makes his cage about 10 to 12 feet up in the air. Although it doesn't look like it, ducks do in fact have knees, and both were just completely shattered in that fall for this 3-foot tall kid. But it's a video game, and he's alright. So all we have left to do is free Louie. Every time you get to one of the 3 ducks, there's a little cutscene. Both of the other ones have Huey and Dewey asking Scrooge to save them, but for some reason, Louie is willing to die a martyr for Scrooge's money. He says Scrooge needs to hurry to the office and leave him behind because it's not worth his time to free him. What? I had to dodge some lasers to free Louie, but after that, the only thing left to do was defend my vault. I entered my office and found Big Time Beagle, our first boss. Since he has a helmet on, pogoing his head does nothing. Instead, our butler lowers a safe from the ceiling that we have to knock down with the globes and statue heads the Beagle Boy throws at us, and then pogo his head after that. Where is he pulling these globes out of? I don't know. I don't really want to know if I'm going to be honest. Because I have 3 HP and turned the button of has to be all the way down, I actually died a couple of times. I kept clicking the wrong button, which caused me to not jump out of the way of a projectile and take damage. But I managed to beat him on my last life remaining, and watch this painting turn into some code for a treasure map that we decoded using a new supercomputer. From here we get access to 5 levels. First up is the Amazon. Launchpad flies us there in his helicopter, and immediately we have to fight some monkeys. They're basically reskinned Beagle Boys, but when they reach an obstacle they can jump instead of turning around. After killing a couple of those apes, I reached a big chest that had a coin inside. I continued on, passing this piranha plant type creature that is impossible to kill and so hard to avoid before heading underground. I first found some money and another coin to the left, and then a whole lot of pain and suffering to the right. This level has spiders that dive down when you get close and then slowly move back up. This wouldn't be too bad, except the ground is almost completely made of vines. I first thought I'd have to parkour from spider to spider, but it turns out that pogo sticks can jump on spiky plants without any repercussions. Which, of course, this still proposed a couple of issues, as the pogo sticks bounce you really high and I'd often run into the spiders and the vines they decided to place on the ceiling. I died 2 more times in the level before getting my first game over, which transported me back to Scrooge's office, where there's more than just levels to do. By the door, you can buy different concept art, character design models, background designs, and sneak peeks into how the developers drew the characters and sets. I have about $0 to my name, as when you game over you lose all your cash, so I was only able to buy one thing. Besides that, there's one more thing you can do, and it feels incredible. With my exploring done, I decided to go back into the Amazon. Even with the 1-up I found, I still managed to game over. This game is very janky with its controls. Even though they're pretty simple, it's on mobile and was designed 10 years ago. I'm sure if I grinded out attempts on this level, I could eventually make it through, but I don't want to spend hours on each level, or if I ever make a mistake or two, I have to completely start from scratch. So I switched to normal mode. In normal mode, you have the same amount of lives and still take a heart of damage per hit, but healing items are a lot more plentiful, so I flew through the tutorial again and found myself back in the Amazon. With a lot more healing items from chests, I was able to clear the underground section, picking up a couple more coins on the way. I went up the rope and found a final coin before discovering what they're used for. You have to collect all 8 coins and put them in these 8 slots. I thought I had all 8, but it turns out I missed one, so I went back and got it, unfortunately losing a life along the way. I flew with Launchpad and finally entered the ancient Aztec temple to find the scepter I'd been looking for. With full health, I was feeling confident even though I was on my last life, until I got crushed by a boulder. So I had to play back through the level collecting all 8 coins, flying with Launchpad, and entering the temple again. This time I avoided the boulder and found Mrs. Beakley, who fed me up to full health and gave me a 1-up. I was feeling confident yet again, but with the massive amounts of enemies, I kept getting hit. I lost 1 life after another until I was completely dead and got transported back to the office. Look, I was putting full concentration into that, and I still burned through 3 lives in a matter of minutes. Why is this game so hard? Because I just wanted to have a good time, I decided to start all over again on easy. Easy is basically baby mode. Damage only takes half a heart, and you have infinite lives. I played through the tutorial again, and then made my way back into the temple. Even with double the HP, I still died on this long winding hallway, which just shows how challenging this game is. While playing on easy mode, it really just made me wish that they designed hard and medium mode differently. I think that it would be nice if they all had infinite lives, but you just took more damage and got fewer healing items on harder modes. This would make harder modes a lot more bearable and less of a grind for perfection. Instead of needing to be perfect every single screen consecutively, you just have the challenge of making it through the current screen. Then when you make a mistake, you won't have to play through 15 minutes of a level all over again. Anyway, after the long hallway is the boss room, and it's honestly pretty fun. The head will come and bounce around, slamming into the floor and trying to hit you until you pogo its head a couple of times. Then it'll fly into the background and try and squish you. After figuring out the patterns, it was pretty easy, and I beat it. The natives actually hated the boss too, so everyone wins. Next up we have Transylvania, and for some reason, Scrooge brought all the kids with him on this one, and it immediately backfires. Huey, Dewey, and Louie fall into a trapdoor and we have to go free them. I explored around with bone ducks that never truly die and legit ghosts that just can't be harmed at all. Eventually I found Huey, who was yet again suspended in a cage 10 feet above the ground. This seems unnecessarily difficult to set up. Who has this kind of time? Why? I fought a ghost by just jumping on its head a couple of times and revealing a Beagle Boy in a costume who dropped a third of a piece of paper while running away. After this, I was starting to think that there wasn't an evil vampire and it was just the Beagle Boys, but there were ghosts. So what do I believe? While I was exploring, I found a magic mirror that teleports you to another mirror, which makes it seem like magic is real. But then why are the Beagle Boys here? I don't know, man. While I was exploring, I found a big mirror that required all 3 pieces of paper to activate, and then a really cool section where you get to ride a minecart. You duck under obstacles, jump between carts, and collect gems. At the end of it, I found Dewey and another Beagle Boy that I easily collapsed. One more Beagle Boy remained, and I had to fight him in the dark. But I can see him, myself, and the ghost, so it doesn't really matter. Needless to say, it was the hardest fight of my life. With all 3 pieces of paper, I made my way back to the mirror where we summoned Magica Dispel and had another banger boss battle. She has several attacks like summoning pillars of fire, turning into a vulture, and shooting purple death spears. But I managed to beat her and grab the coin of the Lost Realm. I spent a couple mil in the gallery before hopping into the 3rd level, the African Mines, where we immediately see workers of color fleeing from awful working conditions. Wow, I didn't realize how real this game was. The first part of this level is pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. You spend forever trying to collect a lever before you can enter the mines. And the mines just made me so glad that I'm in easy mode. This game is a fun mechanic where if you ever fall in water or a pit, you just instantly die. You have to parkour between extremely small platforms, and I fell over and over and over again. Then we have a minecart section that I swear has a pixel-perfect jump. I fell here like 12 times, and if I had to redo the entire level each time, I would have given up on this game. You might have noticed that I now have 4 hearts. In the last level I found a heart, and in this level I found another one. Since I'm in easy mode, it doesn't feel that necessary, but I guess it's nice. The boss for this level is a big round blob, and it's pretty mid and super repetitive. You hit him once while he's bouncing around, then he rolls around like Sonic before causing a stampede. Then you rinse and repeat until he's dead. Up until now, Launchpad has been a pretty good pilot, but on the next level he just crashes into a mountain. The level is pretty on brand with a crash though, as it's absolutely awful. Most of the time we're on snow, and the fun mechanic snow has is that if you try to pogo on it, you sink into the ground and have to mash to get out. This means if you miss an enemy, you get stunned and the enemy will probably hit you. And when you're not on the snow, you're on the ice, with ice physics, doing platforming over the void. This level wasn't even that difficult, it was just so annoying. To fix the plane, we have to go around and pick up 3 parts and return to the plane, which is a theme that I started to notice throughout the game. You have to go around and pick up usually 3 items and bring them back somewhere, which allows you to fight the boss. In this level, as we're flying to the boss, we run into Glomgold, one of Scrooge's enemies. We then have a sky battle where he shoots thugs over to try and kill us, while also shooting bombs that we have to hit back at him before they blow up our plane. It was pretty fun, and I have to say that the Professional Golfers Association has gotta hit this man up. Not only can he hit the craziest shot I've ever seen on top of a plane trying to hit another moving plane, he also debunked Isaac Newton by hitting it backward and having it curve against all laws of physics to hit Glomgold. Imagine how good he could be on the ground with like 2 miles an hour of wind instead of 200. After dropping this guy's plane into the middle of a mountain range, we have to fight a Yeti, which, while it is fun, has some annoying mechanics. The Yeti will punch the wall and drop ice chunks you have to avoid until a stone drops that you can use. You can hit it into an ice block that will drop on the Yeti's head, but if the Yeti is moving while the ice drops, it will go right through it. Also, you're supposed to run underneath the Yeti quite a bit, and it feels like he's just big enough where most of the time you're going to get hit no matter what, which is really annoying and frustrating. Something about these boss fights that is consistent and really confusing to me is how a pogo stick does any amount of harm to anything. I can see how you could kill an evil rabbit with this, or maybe a regular sized human, but if a 2,000-pound block of ice or safe can't hurt an enemy, how on earth is this 60-pound duck on a pogo stick gonna do anything? With the Yeti sufficiently bullied, we came back with the crown of Genghis Khan. Why they roped him into this, I don't know, but we only have 1 level left, and we're going to the moon. I honestly thought they were just gonna take the plane and make some dumb excuse of how they made it, but Instead, they pulled a whole rocket out of nowhere. Obviously, they don't need oxygen suits because they have air guns, and now they're off to find the legendary moon cheese to make billions. To complete the level, we board an alien ship and find the 3 pieces of Gizmo Duck's suit, which they have for some reason. Scrooge absolutely flames Fenton before he puts on the suit and becomes Gizmo Duck. Gizmo Duck rides a unicycle and shoots rockets at enemies, which helps us break into the vault with the moon cheese. But right as we're about to claim our prize of a single piece of green cheese that must have cost millions to retrieve, a rat that doesn't need to breathe air runs up and eats it, turning radioactive. It's a pretty easy boss fight, and after jumping on its head a couple of times, it throws the cheese back up and we take it back home. And that's it. With all our treasures gained, the game is not over yet? What? I'm sorry, I can't fake a reaction. With all the cutscenes, this was so obvious. Glomgold has all his treasures, along with the triplets hostage, so that Scrooge will hand over the moon cheese. But just as Scrooge gives up the cheese for the triplets' safety, Magica shows up and freezes everyone. She steals all the treasures so that she can summon a vampire and rule the world. All she needs is the #1 dime from Scrooge, so she takes the triplets too. Glomgold and Scrooge decide to team up to take her down, which couldn't possibly end badly. We fly into one final level, the volcano. It's pretty similar to other levels. There's lava, which is just reskinned water, spikes, which are just reskinned vines, and minecarts, which are just reskinned minecarts. It was pretty cool looking, but the only unique section was this Indiana Jones type section. You only get to see the shadows of everything, and each level gives a way to not get flattened by the boulder. It was very cool, I just wish it lasted a little longer. At the end of the level, we find Magica with the triplets in, you guessed it, another cage. Scrooge finally puts his heart over his greed and offers up his dime for the triplets, but Glomgold betrays us and steals it? What? The 2 villains were working together the whole time? No! Magica combines all the ingredients and summons Dracula, which might be the most fun and most challenging boss yet. He starts by floating around and summoning bats to get the pogo off of to hit him on the head. He then turns into either a dragon that shoots flaming balls, a giant duck who tries to bite us, or a mob of bats that try to squish us. I died several times, but I never got frustrated. I improved quickly, and finally beating him felt amazing. But we've still got one small section left. Magica and Glomgold still have the 1 dime, and we have to race them up some parkour to get it. And oh yeah, the volcano was kind of erupting. Racing them was pretty easy, but then we had to get out of the volcano as fast as possible. I'm gonna be honest, I was on this 30-second section for more than 5 minutes. To climb up a rope, you have to press the up arrow, and since I'm not playing with a joystick, it's hard to move my finger there fast enough on the side button. After constant death, I finally made it to the escape helicopter, threw the bad guys in jail, and maintained my title as the richest duck in the world. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing and liking it. It would help me out a ton. Until next time, have a great day.